Greetings. Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter.
Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter, where Mark and Rich argue.
And not about documentaries.
Yeah.
Mark didn't
Kelly,
watch
you
it.
saw, did you see a bit of that documentary now thing?
I did. I watched a couple episodes of that.
Which ones did you see? Do you remember?
The first two. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. So you didn't see the Rocks one. Dang it. All right.
No,
Well,
I tried to go in order.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. What'd you think about what you saw then? Did you see
I thought
the new
it's-
season
it's-
or the first season? Which one are you talking
First
about?
season.
Oh, the first season. Oh, okay. So you saw. Oh, I got you. So the one with the old ladies and the one. What was the one that was after that? Was it the one where they go down to Mexico to
Yeah,
do the?
yeah. The first one was about the drug money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. I like
Yeah.
that one. What'd you think?
I thought it was funny. Look, initially it takes a little getting used to. It puts you in a very uncomfortable space, but yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, that one. I remember that one with Fred Armisen and Bill Hader when they were playing the. I forget which company that was, or it was one of those groups that was going out and doing those sorts of things. They were doing the documentaries where they would go and find El Chapo or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
All that. And I love that episode, how every time they went out there, they kept sending new reporters down there to go interview them. And every time they did, they ended up dying.
Yeah.
In different ways. I love that, man, when they get into the police car. Yeah, that was a good one. That was really a good one. I like that one a lot. Yeah, so you're starting with the first season then. All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good. Rich, you didn't see any of that, did you?
Not the first season. No, I watched the fourth season. The one you told me to.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones he's talking about were real good. Drew's actually the one who turned me on to the show. And Drew had seen the documentary about the old ladies. And so when he saw that, it really, that really got to him. And he told me about the show, said, you got to see this. He said it's just really, really good. So yeah, I started watching that, and the one with the guys who kept going down there to interview the drug lords. That was the one that got me hooked. I like that one a lot too. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was wondering if you had seen some of that. I love that show. That show is really good. Rich.
Yes, sir.
Kelly, Mark. So
What?
each of us has seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, right? All of us. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's done their homework and has seen it and is ready to.
I've seen it. I'm ready to go see it again.
No comment.
I watched it.
So what'd you think? What'd you guys think?
Mark, go ahead.
Oh, going into it, like went with the family, and the first one was really good. It was unexpected. I love the art style. So going into this one, we were having the conversation in the car on the way over. Do we think it's going to be better, about the same, or worse? And history being our judge, I was thinking it's probably going to be worse than the first one. No, I think it was every bit as good as the first one, and in some ways it was better. The director did us a little dirty with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that. What is it? The second two Matrix movies where it just kind of ended, and you were like, right when it was getting good, and you're like, how are they going to tie this up in the next 10 minutes? And they're not. They're going to do a whole new movie, and so like that felt a little like I wish I'd have maybe had some inkling of that going in, but on the whole, it left me wanting more, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then no, I don't believe there was. We stayed through the credits or whatever, at least the first part. And there was no
there
like
wasn't.
mid-credit scene or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that part felt a little not Marvel. Come on, man.
So how many Transformers do you give it?
How many Transformers? 7. 7 out of 5.
What does that equate to in what was the one with Will Smith?
How many iRobots?
No. The
I Am Legend?
one. Yeah. How many legends do you give it? How many zombies? How many vampire zombies do you give it? Yeah. Kelly, you saw it too, didn't you?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I was disappointed.
There you go. See, two ends of the spectrum, two ends of the rainbow, same movie.
All right, let me stop you right there. Let's break this down. You can't just drop I was disappointed by by one of the best movies of the summer.
Well, you haven't let me
And
finish
just
talking
leave it
yet.
at that. So come on, Kelly. Please expound upon your disappointment. I would love to hear this.
It was boring, pedantic, and overly long.
Pedantic.
Boring.
Pedantic.
Okay.
Look, let me put it this way: I fell asleep during the movie. Okay, I mean, when you have to
Did
open
you take
yet,
an Ambien right before, or
I didn't need to.
some
I didn't
warm
need to. I
milk?
had
Like,
Spider-Man to give. That Spider-Man is my ambient. If I have to hear one more time that somebody was bitten by a radioactive spider, and then we go through a lengthy story to talk about how was the wrong spider biting the wrong person, who is now part of this multiverse where there's like a bazillion, infinite number of spider people, I've lost interest. I mean, why is this now fascinating to me? It carried out a lot of certain tropes that have been, sure, they're tried and true. You're going to be able to tick a box and say, here, I made a movie, but is it any good? Is it worth a damn? No. It was a
wow.
waste of film.
It is not often that you are so wrong so publicly. But here we have it on film, folks. That
Look, I
you
find
are so wrong.
Spider-Man
There was
full
nothing
of
pedantic or boring about that movie. It was an
Spider-Man
amazing
was driven
piece
by
of
his own
feel-good
hubris.
cinema.
Here he goes. I was gonna say, what errors Emperor like did he do?
Miles Morales' hubris has brought us to the brink.
Not just this world, but all the multiverses. Yes. Yeah.
No, and look, I find a lot of the villains that Spider-Man has to go up against really just lacking. I mean, it's like looking at villains for Batman to fight. They put zero effort into it. I don't know. I just found the movie boring and too long.
I'm not sure what to say to that. I found it. I wanted more.
Yeah, but you
and
find
I think
every
it's probably
movie
the best movie
interesting.
I've seen all year.
Oh
I
my
actually
God.
enjoyed it.
Is it the only movie you've seen all year?
No, I've seen lots of movies.
I'll
In fact,
tell
I
you
saw
what
Knock on the
And you've
Cabin Door
loved
the
them
other
all.
day for the second time.
I'll tell you what I
we can
liked
talk about
about
that later. That was pretty good. And I
I'll tell
also
you
saw the end of Barry, going back to the what's his name? Is that Bill Hader? Is that
Bill Hader? Yeah.
yeah,
Look,
yeah.
if Tom Bombadil were a movie, it would have been the Spider-Man movie.
No. I won't have that. That's a bridge too far. That had better be just awful. That movie had better be just the worst. If you're going to throw the TB out there, yeah. If it caught TB, that's no. I liked the villain in the beginning, and the recurring one, Spot. I liked him. I liked his character a lot. I liked how they wrote for him. I liked his stupid background. That was really funny to me. That it was just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of ridiculous, his being there at all, or how he saw it and all of that. And I liked his overarching the overarching story with him, and oddly enough, the simplicity with which they animated him. He looked almost like an unfinished drawing. You know what I mean? It was like he was just lightly sketched out kind of thing there. I like that. I like that a lot. For some reason, that worked for me. I liked him. And the Spider-Man stuff, I like the multiverse thing. I will say this. I will have a very different opinion on it depending on how the next movie goes, because the story needs to end a certain way. Spider-Man is, I was talking to another friend of mine about this. Spider-Man's story is about tragedy, is about, sacrifice and cost. And if there is no cost, then it's not the same story. It's not as impactful. It's not as powerful. That's what makes
your concern would be that they do the Hollywood happy ending.
Yeah.
And that Miles Morales is able to overcome these canon events and make it all right. And you think that would be a detriment to the story?
Yeah, I do. The quote, the quote on which it hinges is the part where he says, "Nah, I'm going to do my own thing." right? Where everybody keeps telling me it's supposed to be this way. No, I'm going to do my own thing, right? Like he's going to save the dad, make the story good, everybody's going to be fine, and all that. And that is, that to me is a bit of ridiculousness. And it has already been addressed in the Marvel universe as a matter of canon, if you will, from the What If episode with Doctor Strange, where he kept trying to save what's her name? I can't remember the girlfriend's name. And every time he did, what was it?
Is it Christine?
Christine, yes. He kept trying to save her, and every time he couldn't, and until finally he did, but then everything unraveled because he had done that. It was supposed to be one of those moments that has to happen, right, in order for everything else to take place. And so when you write something like, no, I'm going to do my own thing, that just comes across like Hollywood, you know, philosophizing kind of nonsense, bumper sticker philosophy stuff.
See, now I will say this, there, and you guys know me well enough to know that I hate the reluctant hero trope.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed how in this movie, Miles Morales is a much more confident and competent Spider-Man, you know, than we saw in the first one. And in the first one, it was like him reaching that level of okay, I can do this, and figuring out his powers. And in this one, he felt very like, no, I can do this. I can take on this hero and get to school on, or take on this villain and get to school in time. And he was more, I think, sure of his own abilities, which I actually enjoyed.
Sure?
I would, but this is a family-friendly podcast. I mean, come on, Kelly, you didn't smile at the Lego Spider-Man.
I smiled at the Lego Spider-Man. Okay,
there it is.
That's fine.
Funny.
But
member berries.
But again, Miles Morales being confident as Spider-Man is not unique when there's an infinite universe of Spider people.
I know there were a lot of competent Spider-Men. In fact, they were all competent except him in the last movie.
All competent except none of them could stop the bad guy.
He's joined the ranks of competent Spider-Men.
But you do see my point, right? Where
who are you asking?
No, Mark. Where because you didn't like it, so it wouldn't matter what I asked you.
Obviously.
But Mark, you do agree with my point, right? There has to be a certain cost for, especially for that character, for Spider-Man. I mean, that was the thing when he was made. His original storyline was about that tragedy and still persevering, still continuing on. Not just the fact that he had he was not rich, he was poor, he was just trying to get along, all of that stuff. And then, of course, his Uncle Ben dies and his girlfriend dies, Gwen Stacy. You know, there was just a number of things and that continued to give him motivation, but he never let it destroy him. It was his impetus, if you will. And so for this, I'm hoping they don't try to go that route. I'm
excited to see where they go. I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with it. But I tend to go, okay, well, you know, these guys delivered a great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to put it in their hands and trust them to keep delivering. I said the same thing with Game of Thrones. I'm like, we've had 7 seasons of amazing television, man. And they're like, the final season's going to be fewer episodes. I was like, I don't care. They got this. They're so good. And look how that turned out. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Now, Sean, what are your thoughts on the Indian Spider-Man?
Oh, I didn't mind any of them.
I thought he was hilarious, you know.
Yeah, I liked because this felt more like an actual multiverse thing. You know,
right? Yeah.
Which, by the way, I will say, Hollywood needs to be very cautious about how they start trying to use physics and new theories and all of that stuff in there. Oh, we could use this in our comic book thing and do this really cool thing and all that, because invariably, a decade or so later, maybe not even that long, they start thinking, yeah, you know, maybe that's not how that works.
So you're expecting Hollywood to be careful now, when over decades they've just flaunted that.
Yes. Yeah, because decades before, this podcast wasn't there to keep them between the yellow lines. But now they really have the guidepost that is the Speak Nerd and Enter podcast.
It just reminds
$1 million screenwriters are listening to us. Sure.
Well, they have nothing else to do. They're not writing screenplays right now. They're all on strike.
That's true. Walking a picket line.
It's one of those things where when you go and you see a movie and it's all about a future This is the world in the future or something like that. And I know you're just swinging, and sometimes you're going to miss on what things are going to be and all of that sort of thing. But it does look a little goofy sometimes when you look at it, right? Like in Blade Runner, he has to use a payphone from the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. With this sort of thing, they do this all the time. I'm going to harness, dark matter or dark energy or the multiverse or all this. And then, a couple years later, there's a bunch of signs. I don't know if that's going to work. I remember with Star Trek, one of the things they were always doing was throwing up tachyon posts. Everywhere they went. Well, sir, if we throw a tachyon post at it, we should be able to, and all this stuff. And they don't know that there's actually tachyons. It's one of those things. They do it to try to show you, hey, we know some things.
It's
and
a big
then,
sciencey word. I'm sure that'll
Right.
work.
Right. Instead of just throwing things in there, like hyperspace, hey, never come up in physics. Nobody ever had a theory of hyperspace or subspace transmissions. No one's ever said, hey, I got a theory for subspace. The Force, things like that. Never been there. And so, you know what? You're not going to look dumb. You're not going to look dumb later on.
Oh, Sean's cut out on us. What happened?
Whoa.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So you're just not going to, it's not going to end up looking quite as dumb later on. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things I've noticed as I've grown up, of course, that you look at those things and it's one of the things that makes it look dated. Kind of like, how they made fun of Back to the Future in Infinity War or Endgame, remember? It's like, are you getting your time travel rules from Back to the Future? That kind of thing.
Right.
That kind of thing is what it is. But no, I enjoyed it. I hope that they don't try to go down that route.
They will.
Because then you're going to have
They might
dueling.
still might be a fun, entertaining movie, even if they do. I'm there. You've got my money, Hollywood.
Then you're going to have the dueling philosophies of Spider-Man versus Kung Fu Panda.
Look, I just
remember,
want to see the evil Miles Morales fight the good Miles Morales.
Oh
That's
my
gonna be-
God.
I can't wait. It's going to be so good. Rich, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Not seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what,
Someone
Rich?
didn't
I
do their
actually agree
homework.
with that thought.
Not
'Cause
seeing it. Not
I
wasting
wish I hadn't.
$30 on going to see a movie which has such a broad range of opinions on it.
Okay, first of all, let me stop you right there.
Broad?
So let me stop you right there. Who's wasting $30 to go to the movies when you could do the AMC pass or the Regal Cinemas pass? It's like $20 a month. You can see all the movies you want. Or I think AMC is like
$20 a
3
month.
movies a week or something like that.
Is there $20 worth of movies I want to see on any given month?
I
No.
don't care. There is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, there is. There
No.
always is.
There's
I've
not.
seen
There's not.
all the movies. We have the pass.
I'll tell you what.
and so we can go see it. We spend all our money on popcorn, not movie tickets.
There's a new Wes Anderson movie coming out. I do want to see that.
Is that Asteroid City one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Wes Anderson. Yeah, I like his stuff.
Did
Kelly,
he do
what
the
you
Life
think of
Aquatic?
Wes Anderson. Yeah.
I don't have a
That style. It
particular
looked
opinion.
very that style. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that one, Grand Budapest and
Yeah. It's
Rushmore.
got a bunch of people in it. That looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
like
I don't hold a particular opinion about a given director or things like that. I just go
Really?
see movies that look. Yeah. No. I just go see movies that look.
Michael
interesting.
Bay.
Love him. Oh, he's in our tour. Oh.
Transformers movie.
No.
I
See,
like
because
the
look,
movie,
here's the
yeah.
deal.
Try to pull one out that Michael Bay did good. Yeah,
Armageddon.
come on.
Armageddon.
That was horrible.
It's my
Horrible.
favorite movie ever.
Don't you dare.
But
You're
see,
about to burst
What
into
we
flames.
need is a crack team of oil drillers to fly into space on these top secret space shuttles we made that nobody was looking, and we made 2 of them.
Weren't they
Best part
guided
of that
there by
movie-
Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah,
I like Billy Bob Thornton, but they put
yeah.
him
No,
in
I'm
there
not gonna
just
lie.
so that he
Armageddon
could
is
have-
one of my
I know.
cotton candy movies. It's like there's nothing. There's no nutritional
know.
value there at all.
But see,
But it's a good
this is
time.
why everybody needs to look at what Mark's
What movies
reviews
are
are
for.
and compare them to the things Mark actually likes.
Well, Kelly
right?
just hates everything.
I don't hate everything. I just require good
You
things.
have a heart full of blackness. You
No.
don't like Spider-Man.
No, I like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I
Miles
didn't like
Morales
this
is not
movie.
Spider-Man. I will take issue with that. He's Miles Morales, and they keep calling him Miles Morales. I think it's an injustice for a good character to be slapped onto Spider-Man. He's Miles Morales. He should be something else. But they just want to glom on to Spider-Man instead of making him his own sub-character, which could also be arachnid-based. I don't like the fact that they took a
But
good
they
character
didn't-
of Miles Morales.
But he's
I'm not
not.
just talking about
He's
the
not.
movie.
He's not Spider-Man though. He's supposed to be. Well, whatever. Anyway.
It's into the Spider-Verse with
Right,
everyone
but
else.
he was the
Spider-Man.
ultimate Spider-Man in the Spider-Man comics. He was the ultimate version of Spider-Man.
I understand that, but at the same time,
That makes him
There's
Spider-Man, whose name happens to be Miles Morales, in the same way that the other Spider-Man
so why
happened to
not
be
just
named
call
Peter
him-
Parker.
So they call the other Spider-Man Spider-Man, but they call him Miles Morales. Why?
Who's they? Like when he's flying around in his mask on, they don't be like, "Hey, it's Miles Morales." No, it's Spider-Man
Swinging around.
swinging around. Yeah, you're right. He's swinging
Yeah.
Okay.
with the webs.
And let the record show Kelly could not bring up one good Michael Bay movie.
I think he's strong enough on
Bad
his own.
Boys, Bad
Character.
Boys 2, Bad Boys
That-
3.
All of those just dig the hole further.
I know. Those Bad Boys movies are awful. Awful.
See,
Awful.
but again, this is where I don't follow directors. I look at a movie and I determine whether the movie's worth my time to go see.
Mhm.
I went and saw the Spider-Verse movie because my daughter's very much into it, and so that's what we do. I go to movies.
What'd
that
she think of it?
She liked it.
Ah, there we are. There we are. There we are. I don't know what it shows, but there we are.
Other people liked it and I didn't, so obviously I'm wrong. Okay.
Oh, you didn't even see it, so your opinion.
Not
doesn't
talking
count.
about me. I'm being Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up Michael Bay to see if he does have any good movies.
I enjoyed the
Well, I'm on
transparency.
IMDb right now.
I mean, I think the
let's-
only director that I know right off the bat, I'm just never going to go see any of their stuff, is M. Night Shyamalan. I don't like any movie that he's ever.
Really?
You
Oh
don't
my
like
God.
any
I
of
like
the
so many of his
Unbreakable films.
movies. So,
Of
Of
so
course you do.
like for real, you haven't seen Signs, or have
I
you seen
have.
Signs?
I have.
Okay, I thought Signs was a great movie. What's the other
Until
one?
the
that-
end.
You
Until
didn't like
the
any of
end.
the Unbreakable films.
No,
Scott.
Unbreakable was amazing. The only thing I didn't like about
Unbreakable was
Signs is
good.
nobody's living
What
out
was
on a farm in Pennsylvania or wherever it was and doesn't have a shotgun. But I can forgive that because
I didn't like
preacher, and I was
Signs. I
all
don't
right,
care for Unbreakable. I didn't care
Mhm.
for
Did
that
you
one
see
where
Knock
all
on
the
Cabin?
trees and grasses try to kill everybody in the
The
world.
Happening. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Unbreakable,
What about,
was,
Sixth
Unbreakable was really good, and
Sixth Sense.
Split
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah,
But
Split
I
was
like
really
Glass.
good.
Glass was decent. The end of the trilogy. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. And like I say, Sixth Sense was, I believe, his first, or at least the first one that put him on the map.
What?
And like, it was a fine movie, and the twist really kind of cemented his storytelling style. And like I say, my wife started watching Knock on the Cabin Door. I'd already seen it. She put it on last night, and then fell asleep, 20 minutes in, and so I just kept watching it. And you know how he's the director always has a little bit part in the movie, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's more than a bit part.
Yeah.
In that movie, at some point somebody's watching, they're turning the television on, and there's like one of those home shopping channel, oh, you buy this thing and it cooks your chicken for you without all the fat, and it's him as one of the salespeople on the thing, and it's so tiny and small that it was easy to miss. And I was like, thank God, because I didn't really want to see him in that movie. And so just giving him that little 30-second, like less than 30 seconds of okay, you check the box, now let's get back to the real story. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie, having seen that one twice. So I would say give it a shot.
When we had a really good string of really good movies, when you had Memento, Gladiator,
Yeah.
L.A. Confidential.
Yeah.
It was
uh,
97, I think those came out.
It was in the
1997.
90s. It was in the
Yeah,
90s.
97,
sometime,
I think,
yeah.
was Gladiator.
Yeah, those were some good.
No, I
good
thought
movies.
Gladiator was. Yeah,
Check
maybe it was late.
I thought
yeah.
it was 90s, yeah, because it was around the time of Matrix.
Late 90s. It would have been late 90s.
Because Matrix was
97.
late 90s as well.
IMDb's being weird. I'm
You're
trying to
right.
look at, apparently he's directed one movie. It's like,
Michael Bay.
show me I know. I'm like, show me the whole thing, but
maybe they're trying to
Yeah.
rewrite history. They're trying to make it. They're trying to take that blot off of humanity's.
Gladiator was
record.
2000. It was the year 2000.
okay.
So right on the cusp.
Yeah, we'll say 90s because most of that stuff was, right around that time.
Yeah.
Or we could say
eventually
turn of the
was
century.
Gladiator.
How about that? Turn of the century. There you go.
There you go.
All right, here we go. I found
Pre
it.
9/11.
Where's
Actually, you
the-
could say 80s to 90s. Because
Well,
in
80s had
80s,
some fantastic
80s
stuff.
to 90s, you had The Thing, you had
Big Trouble from Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China, you had
Highlander.
Blade Runner, you had
Highlander.
Which one?
Highlander.
Highlanders.
Not as good. Like I watched that fairly recently, from the
Yeah.
nostalgia. I was like, oh,
love
Highlander, and they put it on, and it was like, I'm
Just
looking
the
forward to
first
the
one.
remake. Let's put
Just
it that
one.
way.
That's the thing. Highlander, I think, was a victim of being a cool
Successful.
idea,
Yeah.
but in a unfortunate time. It was
But it-
made at an unfortunate time where it was just kind of too Willow-like and
I don't know. I
goofy.
I really like it. It
I like the idea. I
it's
just agree
finished.
with
I mean-
Mark. If you see it now, you look at it and go, it's not. It doesn't hold up as well. I
should
agree with.
never-
As a matter of fact, you know who said that? It
Yeah.
was Clancy Brown. Clancy, because they asked him that one time. They said, so you don't like Highlander, or you have some issue with it? He said, no, it's not so much that. He said, I just don't think it's aged well. He said, I think it was okay for the time and all of
Right.
that, but I just don't think it aged well.
Russell.
I agree.
Russell
But
Mulcahy
they're working on a. I'm sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
I said Russell Mulcahy was a music video director, so that's what he was famous for, was directing like MTV era stuff. So
Mhm.
the modern day MTV type stuff, like it hit then because it had that kind of beat and pace of a music video because everyone was watching music videos on MTV. But nowadays that's considered to be, I don't know, not old fashioned, but out of
Well, I don't
like
know.
you
I
said,
think-
out of vogue.
I
Okay,
don't
so
think that was
so
the issue.
speaking of the music video director, I have the full director's list for Michael Bay here. And starting in 1989, he was directing music videos. I didn't know this. So he's doing,
A lot of people
in
were.
1989, we got 4 or 5 music videos. Nobody of the Neville Brothers, Donny Osmond, one of those. Chicago,
Wow.
Hearts in Trouble. I know. Play That Funky Music director for the video. He was also the director on the Playboy Carrie Kendall September 1990 video centerfold. Vanilla
That's a
Ice's
quality
I
work.
Love You music video.
Ooh.
All right.
See,
So
he's
anyway,
just-
he's doing a lot of
director
music videos through late 80s, early 90s. I'm rolling up to some movies, some Meatloaf videos. All right. So
Did he
Bad
direct
Boys
Blue
in
Eyes?
1995 looks like his first
actual
feature
like,
film
I gotcha.
And
directorial
it was good. I
debut,
enjoyed
unless I skipped
Boys.
over one.
Bad Boys,
And Bad
was
Boys
awful.
2.
Bad
He
I
Boys-
did
enjoyed
The
it.
Rock. So I would say that The Rock
The Rock
is a
too.
good movie. I enjoyed that one. I would put that on the list of a good movie directed by Michael Bay. Let's keep going. Oh, there's Armageddon. No. Pearl Harbor,
Didn't wanna
definitely
hang out on
not.
that- didn't wanna
Bad
hang out
Boys
on that
2,
hill too
no. Oh, he did the Lionel Richie
Just
collection
because-
music video.
Just because a movie is bad in terms of like it's schlock does not mean that it's not an enjoyable film or one that you like to keep on your
No,
shelf.
those ones, Michael Bay's movies have all been movies I have not enjoyed.
Okay.
They've just been too.
Really? You didn't like The Rock
He's-
at all?
I like. Here's the thing I like. I'll give. The thing about The Rock is that it has Nick Cage and Sean Connery, and that was an odd pairing. And so
And what's his
that's-
name? Who's the bad guy? Ed Harris. Like,
Ed
he's
Harris,
one of my
yeah.
favorite actors.
Yeah, good actor.
He's one of my favorite actors too. But The Rock is just. The Rock is not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's
Welcome to
a
The
Michael
Rock.
Bay movie, which is a lot of gasoline explosions. That's
Okay.
what his
All
movies
right.
are.
All right.
Now,
all right. Move it.
See, this is the thing about him. Like with Transformers, I saw a bit of that again just the other day. The part that was good about Transformers was the first, 10 minutes or something, when that Decepticon shows up and destroys the army base.
Mhm.
Man, if the movie had been like that, that would have been amazing. That would have been awesome. Instead,
I-
he tries to make it all about, jokes about body parts in high school and, all that stuff. And
Well, it is
driving
for
around in
children.
tow trucks, pulling, half a robot and all that. I don't want to see that. Like I said, when we went and saw it, Mark, I dug that first 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was, that part was awesome, man. You give a movie like that, that would have been amazing. I don't know why we needed to have all the other stuff there. I don't get
but
it.
without that other stuff, how are you going to fit Megan Fox into the movie?
Easy. The same way you did in that movie. She didn't fit in there. They just had her bending over cars and all that stuff. You just
Yeah.
throw her in the scene. She's in there in different wigs or whatever, in different poses. No one's going to question it. They won't care. You got a big robot blowing stuff up and the chick hanging all over cars or whatever she's doing. No one's going to care. Kind of like in Die Hard, right? The chick on the calendar.
Mm.
Right? Every time you went by, give her a little kiss.
Which
and
was
all
an
that.
excellent
Oh,
piece of like
Welcome back,
spatial placement, because
yeah.
he's going into the different floors, and it's like
Yeah.
there's the construction floor with the calendar, and like that was a really done, like you're like mentally
Yeah.
trying to figure out
That
where
was
he
a
is in this
great
building.
job. Yeah.
That was masterfully
And
done.
by the way, another 80s movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
another-
Hey, guys, you know, the-
1986, I believe,
yeah.
and
You guys
we
are gonna
went
have to
to
pardon me, I
opening
gotta-
night and saw it twice in a row.
Yes, we
What's
did.
up, Kelly?
I gotta drop off. I got an issue brewing here, and I'll.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that, Kelly.
Yeah.
Later, brother. All right.
All right,
And
so
then there were
let's
three.
keep going. Let's keep going. From after Bad Boys 2 in 2003, we followed up with The Island in 2005, which I thought was okay. I thought it was pretty
The
good.
one where they had the
That-
people.
Yeah,
on
they're
the
all
island.
like the clones of people
okay.
living on the island, winning the lottery to go to the island. When in fact
With,
they're gonna like, cut out
with
their livers.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was in that one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, what's her name? Just no,
Jessica
She was-
Chastain. Jessica
no,
Lange.
she was in that Blade movie, I think. I forget. Anyway,
in the Blade movie.
yeah,
The third
with
one.
the bow and arrow. The third
Yeah,
one.
the third one.
I'm drawing a blank on the
Girl
actress's
in the
name.
third in the
Bow and
th-
arrow.
yeah in the third Blade movie. She was the daughter of a Whistler.
Yeah,
Um,
well, stars.
Megan Fox.
No, it's
Meg-
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh,
Not who I was
Scarlett
thinking about.
She was in the
Interesting.
island. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson was in the island. Yes, correct.
Yeah. I
that's
was
not
thinking
the
it was the
actress
other
I'm
actress. So, yeah, they
She
were
would've been a
Transformers
kid
in
at that time.
2007, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen in 2009, Dark of the Moon, Pain and Gain. That was that weird one, supposedly
Yeah.
based on a true story. I didn't really like that one.
Was The Rock in that
Um,
one? Game?
Yeah, The Rock and I think Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
Another Transformers. Now, what about 13 Hours? That was the one about the Benghazi thing,
Yeah,
wasn't
I
it?
know. Yeah.
That was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed that one.
The movie was depressing, but it was good film.
Yeah.
was-
No, like I said, I thought that one was a pretty. So there's a couple that I would definitely put on the list so far. 6 Underground, I really didn't like. Ambulance, if you guys seen that, that was awful. That was so terrible.
I didn't.
Oh, I saw the.
Yeah, it was like the bank robbers,
Yeah,
and then anyway, they hijack this ambulance to get away, and it's at one point they're literally driving around inside the conventions, the like LA Convention Center.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how cars work, and I've been to a number of convention centers. You literally just park your car in front of the exit, like they're trapped.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. Like the whole movie was like, okay, we're trying really, really, really hard to make this a big.
When you
thing.
say
So,
ambulance, what I think of is Bringing Out the Dead with Nicolas Cage. It's the only thing that comes to mind.
okay.
Because that was a good movie.
Yeah, and like I say, 6 Underground, I saw that. I think that was a direct to Netflix, and it was kind of this action movie that was, again, it was all cotton candy. It was a lot of flash and showy looking cool things without much underneath. So I think we have maybe 3 of what I would call like actually good movies. So I like 13 Hours, The Rock, and I guess Bad Boys.
I'll
Are
tell
the
you.
3 best.
So again, I mean, what are your parameters for good movie in terms of, is it that you enjoyed it or that you didn't enjoy it and it's not a good movie because you didn't enjoy it?
No, I will say this. I enjoyed not I was about to say
You
every
enjoyed
one of those
almost
movies. That's not true. Like I saw Ambulance and I was like, oh my God, this is awful. You know, I'm glad I just saw it on Netflix and didn't like pay for it or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a number of these movies that I enjoyed and there was a good time and whatever, but I have no desire to see them again.
Mhm.
Right? Or, you know, you knew it's the equivalent of eating cotton candy versus going to have a steak.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're going to see some flashy lights and some pretty girls and some action and some explosions. Put that all into a bowl and mix it up, and there's a Michael Bay movie. Whereas a good movie has some story and some plot and some things you care about at the end of it. You know, like
See, I
good
think
cinema is not the same thing as this movie made a bunch of money.
I think that's kind of it. Is are you going to see it again? Would you be willing to see
Right.
it again? I think that's kind of the test for it as to whether it's
Mhm.
a good movie or not. There is a rare case, I suppose, where you can have a movie that's really good, but you really don't want to see it again because there's just,
Schindler's List.
I don't know.
I never want to see that movie again, but it was a great movie.
I've seen it a number of times. I've seen that a number of times. But I don't think you would be averse to seeing it again if someone, if you're trying
Let's
to
watch
tell someone
Schindler's
how.
List. I've never seen.
Right. Yeah, like if one of the
Right,
kids
no
wanted to
one's
watch
seen
it or
it, right.
something, or the wife had
Yeah.
never seen it, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's watch this. But it's not what I would call a good time
Well,
because of the you know,
oh.
the subject matter of the movie.
It's got some very powerful scenes, and I loved Liam Neeson's. I mean, that's a movie where, you know, normally you'd say, you hear me say, well, I liked it up until the end, that kind of thing. That's a movie where the ending was done right. That was powerful all the way through, from his monologue at the end to showing the survivors, you know, after that, just really strong. That's, and, you know, again, that goes into that category of what makes it a good movie. Michael Bay, you don't have any of that. You don't have any of that.
You have
There's
a couple.
There's
Three. I do anyway, but you're right. You're right. Yeah.
You know, if you
I
throw
like a lot of his
Spielberg up
movies in
there,
terms
if
of
you throw
what he used
if
to
you
do.
throw Scott up there, Ridley Scott, you know,
Yep.
same thing with Gladiator and, you know, all that. There's a number of them where you can go, oh yeah, that's strong. That's some good stuff. Those memorable scenes where it's just emotional and just that one scene gets across like the entirety of the movie. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That kind of thing. That, I think that's the mark of it. So when Kelly was saying, you know, he doesn't pay attention to the director, I do sometimes. I'll do that a lot. If I like the Wes Anderson thing, I'll go see that because I love.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah, does anybody know the director on that new Spider-Man movie?
oh, yeah, I saw that. Now that you brought it up, I can't think of the name, but yes, I did see that.
That's right. Neil Blomkamp
Yes, from
of District 9 fame.
Yeah, and Chappie,
Did he direct the
which
first one too?
was
Yeah,
not
Chappie and
great. And
Elysium.
yes, Elysium. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that had nothing to do with my decision to go see it at all because I
Yeah,
didn't know he was the director until I saw it on the credits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas there's other times where you're like, oh, like, you know, Oppenheimer's coming out. That looks really good. Is that Christopher Nolan's film?
Yeah.
I believe, you know, and you're like, okay, Christopher Nolan, he makes a good movie. The story looks really good.
And if you
know,
didn't know about Oppenheimer, you just heard that name, wouldn't you think he was a conductor?
he sounds like it. Walk
Doesn't
out there,
it?
tap, tap, tap.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Every time I hear that, the first thing I think of is like some musical. But yeah, that era, that turn of the century era, let's say from the 80s to the 90s, early 2000s, you really had some good stuff in there. I mean, there was, not to say there wasn't some awful stuff, of course, but you had Heat as an example.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Mann with just about, that's another one that has done just an incredible job.
But,
You look
but
at
I purchased a movie called Black Hat that had the actor who played Thor, is it Liam Hemsworth in it?
Mhm.
Because he was the director and it had, you know, Thor in it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. It was awful. It was terrible. You know what I mean? Like all
Chris
the stuff he
Hemsworth?
got right in Heat, they just threw out the window for this movie. You know what I mean? And it was,
Really?
Liam Hemsworth, his brother, Chris Hemsworth, right?
whichever one of those Hemsworths.
Yeah, okay.
They're both ridiculously good looking. So the good looking muscular one was in this movie.
Okay.
But yeah,
Witcher
like Black
Report.
Hat, I remember that. Oh yeah, this is Michael Mann. This is going to be a great movie, and I'm like, where? It was to me not.
That's
good.
a shame.
I
That's a
know.
shame. But he's one who does have a good track record.
He does, which is why I was all the doubly disappointed. If it
Yeah.
was, directed by John Smith, I'd be like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. The Farrelly brothers.
What have they done?
You don't remember the Farrelly? Look up their stuff because they've got a.
How do we spell that?
And
Lars.
because as soon as you see the list, I'm sure you're gonna know. It's gonna bring it up to you. And the Coen brothers.
Yeah, the Coens.
Who, by the way, Helena was telling me today, have not, and this is true, I hadn't thought about it, have not worked with Nick Cage since they did Raising Arizona.
Okay. Does the Farrelly brothers, do one of them have a first name that might help me look them up?
Oh, you don't? No.
I don't. Oh, that's why I'm asking.
No, I mean, it didn't just bring up.
Name a movie that they did. I
Dumb
can look
and
it up.
Dumber. Dumb and
Okay.
Dumber.
Peter Farrelly, Bobby Farrelly.
Peter and Bobby Farrelly.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin. There's something about
See?
Mary.
There you go. See?
Yep.
Right there. That's
director,
just
previous.
in those three, you have a stronger reaction from someone
Mhm.
than that entire list from Michael Bay.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in here that is pretty forgettable too.
Shallow Hal.
In fact, hold on, like Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary are like 1994, 96, and 98.
Right.
Me,
Yeah.
Myself, and Irene, 2000.
Yep.
So I think those are the highlights, and then it
Mhm.
gets a little. I've never heard of it before.
Shallow Hal was the decline, I believe.
Shallow
on.
Hal was all right.
I enjoyed it, but it was the decline compared to their previous work, in my
I'm
opinion.
not seeing Shallow Hal. Maybe did both brothers work on that, or have they done separate things? Because I'm looking at one of the brothers.
Bobby and Peter Farrelly, Shallow Hal, 2001.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking on IMDb. You might be spelling it wrong, but yeah.
No, because I went to Dumb and Dumber and then clicked on the guy's name.
Yeah, I got them all here.
Oh, I
And
see
I-
it. There's Shallow Hal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoyed Shallow Hal. I like Jack Black too.
I like Jack Black.
I enjoyed it. I'm just saying it wasn't as good as their previous work in terms of the humor.
Yeah,
The humor
yeah.
was
Like
more-
Something About Mary, that's pretty classic. Dumb and Dumber just, I think, hit on all cylinders. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's one of those movies that, it's hard for me to take Jeff Bridges seriously in anything else, having seen him in that. And then he's going to go play like the president in another one. And all I can think is how dumb he was in that movie,
See
Yeah, I
him on the
actually-
toilet.
Yeah. Oh, I died at that scene.
I actually like Kingpin out of that list the best. I thought
Yeah,
Kingpin
Kingpin's
was
good. I
amazing.
don't know if I'd put it as best, but it was a good one.
it was my
Kingpin
favorite.
was amazing.
Dumb and
It was
Dumber, Dumb
amazing.
and Dumber was just okay to me. It was, a lot of, it was okay, but it was funny. But I think Kingpin was just a better effort. Me, Myself, Irene also was fantastic. Just
See, I like
such a-
all of those. I like
yeah,
all of
I
those.
like them.
Just
I'm just saying, if I had to
just
rank
that-
them, it would be Kingpin first, Me, Myself, Irene, then
that bit,
then, the other.
when she's reunited with her husband, and she says, "Oh, I want you to meet somebody. He's this guy, and look out, he's got a gun."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Mhm.
And yeah, Kingpin was amazing. See, the thing for them and for like the Zucker brothers and stuff like that is that I think the detriment is sensibilities change and make it
Mhm.
harder for something like that to be accepted, to be made,
Well,
which is
that's
a
Mel Brooks
shame.
for men, Same thing that Mel Brooks said is like, I can't make these movies I used to make that were great now.
Well, Mel Brooks was never great.
Yeah, I think he got more lucky than he was talented.
Young Frankenstein, High
But
Anxiety.
he didn't. Young Frankenstein, he didn't write himself. Young Frankenstein was Gene Wilder,
Yeah, I
and
understand.
Blazing Saddles was Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
The stuff that he wrote Men in Tights, History of the World.
Yeah, Men in
and all
Tights
of
was
that.
awful.
It's
History of
just-
the World, I told you, we watched that recently. It was like, oh, my wife had never seen it. I was like, oh, let's put this on. And it was slow, so slow and plotting. And like, here comes a joke. We're sneaking up on the joke. Look at the joke.
Yeah.
They were wave by to the joke. And it was just like, oh my gosh.
I don't know. I
It's
find
forever.
endlessly
When you say
entertaining.
that, Mark, it's like you're crossing the street and oh, there's a joke coming. Watch out. Oh, you're getting hit by the joke. Oh, the joke's stopping. It's going to back up and run over you again.
Yeah.
Now it's
I
gonna
find
park
History of the
there for
World
a
to be
bit, and
endlessly
then,
entertaining.
there goes the joke.
Right. But
What's
when
that?
was the last time you watched it? Seriously. Because
History
I
of the
did too.
World
I would have
Part
said that all the way up until the moment I put it back on the TV like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was like, this is not as good as I remember.
The last
Yeah.
time I watched this, a couple months ago. I watched it a couple months ago. Yeah, I still enjoy it. Like Dom DeLuise's performance, Harvey
Dom DeLuise
Korman's
is fun.
performance. I mean,
Dom DeLuise and Harvey Korman are funny people. Just funny people on their own. As is the
Gregory
lady who
Hines'
played
performance
Frau
was
Brooke.
great. I love Gregory Hines' performance in that. I
Mm.
thought he was great.
The
you know.
lady who played Frau Bluka. What's her name?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Cloris Leachman.
Yes, thank you. She's always funny. The lady who played what is her? Madeline Kahn.
Madeline
Yeah.
Kahn.
She's always
yeah.
funny.
My dad went to school with her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Amazingly enough, yeah, he didn't know her,
I-
but he was in school at the same school, the same year as she was there. So
I love Madeline.
Yeah,
Kahn.
I was
She's a
thinking
funny
about
lady.
kind of related to this the other day. Like in the final season of Better Call Saul, they had Carol Burnett as a small role in the movie in the series. I don't know if you guys have seen that. And yeah, it's amazing. You should see it, but see Breaking Bad first, then watch Better Call Saul. Two of the best series ever put on. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I was thinking about this, like Hollywood, right? We're talking about some older people, and it's nice when we can look back on some of these people who maybe aren't actively working now, or maybe they're not even around anymore, and kind of reminisce on their body of work, but also look forward to kind of who's the next generation, who's the up and comers. Zach Galifianakis, I'd put him in kind of that same company as some of these other comedic legends that we've just been talking about,
Yeah.
as the newer generation, kind of coming up from that. And so, I love the older generation. I grew up on Carol Burnett, et cetera, et cetera. Love to see her in a non-funny role in this one thing where you're like, is that Carol Burnett? You're like, it is Carol Burnett. Like I say, Hollywood can give us so much because they have this generations of talent to call upon, right? There are some roles that you need somebody with a little gray hair or a little bit of experience to play that role. Nobody's gonna, like, you couldn't take The Rock as an example, and I mean the movie The Rock, not the actor, right?
Yeah, when
And
he
Sean
stops,
Connery did a great
when The Rock stops doing what he's doing,
young guy in that role.
He's
You know what I'm
gonna-
saying? Because that he was designed to be this older guy who's been
Good.
stuck in jail forever. What was that,
I said
Rich?
when The Rock stops doing what he's doing, he's so overbuilt. When he stops doing whatever sequence or whatever series of things he's doing to get that big, man, he's gonna look pretty weird.
I know, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at him; he's wasting away. And speaking of which, I did start watching a show on Amazon. I forget what it's called. Anyway, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, where he's like this CIA undercover agent
That's
dude.
Netflix, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. It's one of those
I think it's
streaming
Netflix.
services.
Yeah.
And he's like this. He's like a typical Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm a CIA undercover agent, off saving the world, doing things. But he's getting ready to retire because he's old. And he's like, oh, it's my last job, and now I'm going to retire and get this boat and go live my life. And they're like, oh, we need you for one last job. And he comes in. Turns out his 28-year-old daughter is also working for the CIA, and neither of them knew it. And he's got to go in and like extract her because her cover got blown or whatever. And so it's this family dynamic of True Lies where they both realize they've been working for the CIA and neither knew it, but now they have to work together. So I watched like the first 2 or maybe 3 episodes, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was pretty good, especially compared to the Drek that we got with was Citadel, and there was one other one that we were discussing that was
Extraction
just
or
awful.
something.
Yeah, and this one's not taking itself seriously, like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like supposed to be real life. It's this kind of send up actiony hero kind of thing, but not stupid. Like
That's
you know,
really the only option you have at that point, to be honest.
yeah,
You know, I mean, if you're going to look, Schwarzenegger's had a good run with his movies and all that stuff that he had, really strong there for a while, but they never, ever, ever tried to make it anything that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's Arnold. And so trying to do something different with that now would be tough. Not that you couldn't, but I think if you're going to do that, that's the smart way to do it, is to go that camp way, or not camp, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, throwing a little part in there. So, but like I say, I did a couple episodes, maybe 3, I don't even remember, but it was good. Like I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, okay, I'd keep watching that. So, Rich, that'll be another thing for you to turn your nose up in disgust and not watch.
I will. Don't worry. I will. I don't waste time on things that aren't worthy of me.
So what are you doing on this podcast?
Well, this is definitely worthy of me. This experience with you gentlemen is something that I will treasure for the rest of my day.
You know something I was thinking about with the Wes Anderson stuff, by the way? I don't know if you really care, but something I was trying to think, why do I like his movies as much as I do? I love the fact that most of his protagonists in his movies are severely flawed in many ways, but have a very strong, honorable streak in them. And I realized the other day, I was like, oh, that's why I like those movies so much. I really dig that. You mentioned The Life Aquatic, Mark, and that part where he goes to save Jeff Goldblum. It's funny, but it was really, it was really cool. I like that bit. So anyway, I was thinking about that. I like Wes Anderson stuff. Yeah, the 80s and 90s, good time for movies, and a lot of swings
Good time
for very different things.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
It was,
and without those, we never would have gotten the Expendables movies.
Yeah, I was just
number
thinking
4
about
coming
that.
up with Megan Fox in it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that the other day. That is going to be every bit of what I expect it to be.
And that one I will go see. Well, I'll watch it.
That's all I have to say about that one.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Fast and the Furious movie. Like I saw that. Like I texted him, I was like, hey, because I told you I have the movie pass, so it doesn't cost me anything extra to just go see a movie. And I was like, I'm gonna go see Fast X. She was off, doing something or whatever. She's like, you're going to movie without me? And she's like, oh, it's Fast and Furious. Go ahead. And so I saw it, and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty awful, but it was awful in the way you get exactly what you're expecting. It was, I ate cotton candy for 2 hours and was like, wow, okay, they're not even trying anymore.
That's
10
amazing
movies,
to me that you're still hanging in there.
10
with that,
movies
Mark.
is a lot.
Well, how could I not? I've seen 9 of them. You think I'm going to give up now? I'm not a quitter.
I can't think of many other franchises like that.
The Three
And
Stooges.
I remember when the first one came out, and it was just like
Laurel and Hardy.
boosting televisions and VCRs off the back of trucks.
Abbott and
Like, talk
Costello.
about a nothing plot,
Yeah.
That's that kind of franchise, like all those old comedians that used to have like 10, 12, 15 movies that were made on a shoestring, but now they're just making them for $40 million a piece or $400 million a piece,
Oh, I had a question for you guys. I was thinking about this the other day. You mentioned Blade Runner as well. When you watch Blade Runner, or you see someone who, or ask someone who's watched Blade Runner what they thought of it or something like that, don't you find it disconcerting if they don't have empathy for the replicants? If all through the movie they're just looking at the replicants like bad and they need to be gotten rid of and all of that, and this is if they don't have empathy for them by the end, to where when he says all those memories lost in
Roy Batty's speech,
right,
how could you
like
not
tears
feel
and
for
if they don't have empathy for them, if they don't get that, doesn't that disturb you? Doesn't that kind of upset you? How can you not see that? What is wrong with you that you don't understand that part?
I can't say I've ever had a conversation about that until right now.
Yeah.
I would,
it's not a thing that's just ever really come up.
Because it's so self-evident. You shouldn't even have to discuss it. Like, of course I feel bad for them. I mean, like Chris, Roy Batty, You know, the dude with his photos. I forget his name.
Well,
you know,
the moment they
Professor Talker.
introduce the characters, and you're talking about pleasure models, right?
yeah,
And you don't have empathy for them, but instead look at them as the villain and all of that. It just, I don't know. To me, that just seems inconceivable. How can you not understand that and understand the situation that they've been put in? It just disturbs me and I realized that the other day when I was, when
did
someone
you
was
meet
talking
somebody
about
who
it.
felt that way? Did you meet
Yeah.
somebody?
Well, they
Oh.
were oblivious to it. It wasn't even like it occurred to them. It never even occurred to them that they weren't the bad guy. That the
Were they
humans
younger?
actually were the bad guys.
Were they a younger person, like
Well,
younger than you?
At this point in life, it's it's kind of hard
No,
not to
that's
find
my
someone who's
that's
a
my.
younger person.
Well, no, that's why. Yeah, I know that. But the reason why I
When
asked
did that happen?
The reason why I asked that question is, when you saw it in the movies when it came out. But the reason why I asked that question is I think that there is and this is going, on a nerdy podcast, this is going off the deep end a little bit. But I mean, I think there's a hardening and a lack of empathy in general with young people all over the world. It's like are not trained to feel those things anymore. They just accept it. They're like, oh yeah, well, they're slaves. We can't do anything about it. I'm just going to move on. I mean, there's no feeling
that's
for
the
them.
thing. It didn't even occur. It was like it doesn't even occur to them. It's not a one-time thing. I've seen it a couple times. Or
Are they
heard it a
dumb?
couple times. I don't know.
Because I'd say that to not think that you must be dumb. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, apparently Denis Villeneuve understood it because 2049 is all about that.
Mhm.
So it's not like it was hidden. Not like it was really a difficult thing to see. But
No.
yeah, I don't know.
So the real question is, though, how much of that movie is owed to Dune? That's the real question.
Ode to Doom.
Ode to Dune. Yeah, owes its success to Dune because they stole everything.
Ode to Doom.
Yeah, ode
I
to
thought you
Dune,
said
yes.
Doom.
No, Dune. Dune. How? Because that seems to be a run.
Yeah, it makes me chuckle every now and again. I'll think to myself, my name is Jesus. My name is a killing word. I must ride the sandworm. and I start laughing.
Long live the
about that, just
fighters.
thinking the Bible ripped off Dune.
Dude,
It was a desert.
Herbert.
That's
Obviously,
right.
Deserts
Obviously,
figure
Herbert-
prominently.
And a Messiah.
Obviously, Herbert was, inspiring the Old
Yeah.
Testament.
Even
and the New
before he was
Testament.
there. Yeah, that's right. Everything.
Excellent.
Yeah. Of course, that also means we can blame Michael Bay on Dune.
Truth. Yes, that's true.
Dune. What a shame. I
figured you can't go one episode without bringing it up.
Yeah,
I'll
I
pretend
think that's
to
coming
do
out
tomorrow.
Christmas time, right? November.
He's a director.
Yeah,
that
Thanksgiving,
I like
Christmas, something like that. Yeah.
I like a lot of his stuff.
On
you
another
know
note,
that?
did you guys see that Space Marine 2 is coming out this year and it has 3-person co-op campaign?
Really?
3 or 4.
Yes, they
Yeah.
announced it 2 or 3 days ago.
I saw that they had the limited edition or whatever.
Yeah, with the
for
statue.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they announced the co-op. Only 3 people, but it's campaign
Okay.
mode. So
I wonder why they did
Yeah.
only 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe limits on processor power. Or I don't know. Looks like there's a lot going on in the game, but it looks
Okay.
pretty cool.
And do we get a final release date?
This year is guaranteed. They said this year. They just didn't say when. So
Probably.
I would expect Christmas time.
That's
Okay.
so
Yeah,
it's
the big
probably
ones
fourth
always
quarter.
tend to drop in November, right before
Yeah.
Christmas.
But it
Although
looks
I
looks
hope they
good.
don't rush it. I mean, I'm eager for it, but I hope they don't rush it because I really.
Well, they've
want
pushed
that
it
to be
back
good.
because it was set for spring. So
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
not rushing it. They're waiting until it's right. Games Workshop seems to have a way of forcing these companies not to push out inferior product.
I
So-
don't know, man. There have been a few like Fire Warrior that
I was just thinking, like, after that
but that's
firework
an earlier
Warrior
era.
debacle.
I mean, I'm talking
I
about modern
remember.
Games Workshop.
I
Yeah.
remember I was at Games Day with
Mhm.
Drew, and they were
Yep.
demoing the game,
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
they
good.
had the keys, right? And I
Yeah.
remember I played the demo. I was telling Drew, that's not good, man.
Yeah, it wasn't
that's
good.
kinda-
It wasn't good.
And
I
he said,
own a
"Yeah."
copy still, and it's still not good.
Drew was telling me, he said, "You got to tell them, man. Go tell them, what they." I was like, "Dude, tell them it's done. They're not going to take my advice." Okay, well, we're gonna
It's
go
terrible.
ahead and pull back and
Thanks.
wait another couple of years and rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah, Sean
It's
at
not-
Games Day said we need to fix it.
Even if I
Let's
was
go
right,
drop
apparently I was.
At that point, I
That's
guess
right.
$10 million project.
I mean,
'cause
the
Sean-
game's okay, but there's too many Tau in it.
There's too many times.
Think
Well,
we
that
could
is
do
the
something
flaw,
about
but I
that?
agree.
There's too much. Say too much Doom. Did you say Dune? No, Doom.
Doom.
Uh,
Speaking of
Yeah.
Doom, that bolt gun game is out as well. I don't know if it's on Xbox. I think it's Steam. Is it on Steam?
yeah, Sean's been playing it. He's
Yeah.
gotten
It
actually
looks
back
fun.
into 40K because of that. He enjoys that. Yeah. So
And speaking of back into 40K, 10th edition pre-orders
Yeah.
today. 10th edition
Mm.
40K. So it looks good. I've looked over it.
hey, Mark, just real quick. Any progress on the books or?
No, it's been a week.
Okay.
Like it's been a crazy week at work and all of that, and,
Well, the
and
cover
this
art,
whole week I've listened to nothing.
I got you.
So I'm
cover
gonna get
art
back
for the
into it.
End of Death drop.
Do
I
what?
didn't hear that, Rich. What?
Cover art social feeds. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's got Sanguinius and Horus on the cover. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I
it's
wonder
pretty
who's gonna
good.
win.
I don't know. I don't know.
Miles
I'm on the edge of my seat. But I'm thinking that the release date on that one is coming up fairly soon. A little bird said that after they drop 40K today, we might see a pre-order maybe within the next few weeks. In the rumor mills for End of the Death Part 2. So
Really?
earlier than I expected. Yeah, I expected like after August, but
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So
too.
I'll be curious to think. Okay, a year from now, right? End of the Death comes out in the next couple of months. Or the final book in the Horus Heresy.
Right.
Let's go forward next year, 2 years out, or whatever.
Mhm.
Will Black Library be doing the same level of business, sales wise, that they've been doing during this decade-ish of Horus Heresy releases?
yeah, because
Well,
there's a
let me
whole
ask you-
aftermath of the Heresy.
Yeah, let me ask you this though. Don't you think that that's why they obviously, I mean, that's why they've done the Return of the Primarchs and all of that.
Mm.
I think if you're riding that wave, I think they could.
Mhm.
If you keep the writing at the same level, that's going to be the key, man. Because if they do it at the level of what they had for the Lion, that's going to be rough. I'll still get it, but man, that's going to be disappointing if they don't if they just have journeymen doing it rather than the real players. That could be an issue. But if they're doing, Dan Abnett doing the Indomitus Crusade and that sort of thing.
Well, he's got to finish his the Inquisitor series, right?
Yeah. But I think that actually dovetails into it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The Yellow King and all that. I think that dovetails into it. So,
well, they have the whole aftermath of the heresy where they talk about like how the Space Marine legions were broken up and all that stuff. I mean, they've got books. But material.
I'll be honest with you, I really don't care about that part. I really don't. I mean,
you can summarize that in like a history chapter.
The eye. Put up the eye.
Well, no, it's true, because if you have the Emperor and then the Emperor exits and you just have the High Lords and creating the Inquisition and all that, well, that's essentially what 40K has been. That's what it's been. And so that's really not all that interesting, as opposed to here's Guilliman, he's come back. Here's the Lion, he's come back. Things are happening. The Emperor is talking through Guilliman and all this stuff. You got some really cool things going on. The what was the name of that? Pariah and what was the
Pariah
other
Nexus?
No, Pariah. The one Abnett's doing about.
Yeah.
And the Yellow King and all that that's going on. That, I think, that's an interesting story. By the way, Mark, I think you would really like those books a lot. I really do. his because you liked Eisenhorn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is kind of the continuation of that, culmination of it, where they're looking for this dude called the Yellow King.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how they wrote it. I like how he's trying these different styles of writing. That's cool. The different points of view and things like that. I think that's really well done.
Are there any Primarchs they haven't done a book about yet? That they haven't had their own book? Have they hit them all?
No, I think they hit them all.
I think they hit them all, didn't they? They did Alfarius and Omegon.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, which was actually all right. Alfarius.
I haven't got to that one yet.
That one was all right. I enjoyed that one. The Night Haunter, they did that one. That one was good, but that
did
one
Perturabo.
was creepy. Perturabo, they did. They did a couple
Fulgrim.
of Perturabo.
Leman Russ.
Vulcan. Done a lot with Vulcan.
I'm trying to think of one that Corvus Corax they did.
Did they do Ferris?
Yeah, they've done Ferris Manus, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they did Ferris Manus.
I can't remember.
Yeah, my only reason I asked the question is because, I think they've gotten through them all, and it's kind of actually impressive that they've managed to do those character pieces on all of them during the span of the Horus Heresy.
Some of them they've done a few books on.
Yeah, hold on. Ferris Manus. Yeah, Ferris Manus, the Gorgon of Medusa. Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And I do think after 10th edition drops, I think they're really gonna move the story forward. I think they're gonna
agree.
they're gonna double down on let's make some big changes to, because you're bringing in the Primarchs, you're bringing in a couple things, brand new edition.
Well,
I think now's the time to really capitalize on it, especially going into potentially some of the live action stuff to kind of dovetail with it. So I'm really looking forward to what Black Library / Games Workshop does in the new edition kind of timeline.
Well, Fulgrim coming back is going to be a real big deal. There's going to be some serious stuff pushed around that. And the talk is that there's a Gene Stealer cult that's invaded Terra, and that's why the Tyranids are heading this way. So the Gene Stealer cult, there's a whole story there of Custodes fighting Gene Stealers and stuff like that.
Yeah, you read those books, right?
No, I haven't got to those yet either.
Yeah,
but I know of them. I haven't read them myself. But it's vastly interesting to me that a Gene Stealer cult would, it just shows how far the Imperium has kind of dwindled under the High Lords of Terra.
Let's be honest, man. I mean, if you didn't have Gene Stealers on Earth, wouldn't you be surprised at this point?
Yeah. It's the kind of, but the fact that they would get to a point where they would attract a giant Tyranid.
I'm not sure why they would show up there and decide to stay. Earth is so messed up.
There's no resources. It's like, what do you want out of it? It's all burnt out and husk.
Yeah, and the people
there's a trillion teeming souls waiting to be devoured.
Yeah, that's a lot of
those are the resources.
You show up there, right? And you're looking for something to eat. You troll into Earth. If I'm a Tyranid, I don't see putting the resources into it. I look at that and I figure, okay, there's a bad apple. I really don't want any of that. I'm just, it
might have something to do with the psychic might that kind of resides on the planet as well.
Yeah, but then why wouldn't they go to the Eye of Terror? Because you're talking about psychic might. You can't get more than in there, or
Can the Tyranids can't travel through the warp though, can they?
Yeah, they can.
Can they? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if they could travel through the warp or not.
Yeah, because remember, as they're approaching through the warp, they crush all of your psychic abilities.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
The shadow in the warp and all
shadow in the warp. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I couldn't remember because for some reason I thought that the Tyranids they couldn't go into the warp for one reason or another. But you're right. Like, why wouldn't you? But it's not. It's biomass. They're a creature of the physical. They're a creature of the physical universe. But the Earth is a small planet. I mean, it's not even a very big planet. I mean, I know it's got a lot of people on it, but there's got to be much larger planets out there with a lot more life on it that would be more attractive.
That aren't nearly as screwed up. That aren't
or nearly as can't fight as hard. I mean,
I vote that they take on Catachan.
Catachan would be a good one. I don't think they can take on Catachan.
I don't think anyone can take on the Catachan. Yeah.
No, it's true.
Remember when that was the thing, the Catachan Devils? Remember the actual creatures, not the guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
The Tyranids can't go there because it's even too inhospitable for them.
Yeah.
And they ate ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Was the inspiration for the Katakan soldier? Was the inspiration for that partly because of Predator? That's what I was thinking. Okay,
yeah, well,
that's what I was
in
thinking.
general, I mean, it was one of the themes, but there was definitely
That
a
was
lot
the
of Predator in it. Yeah, Sly Marbo is all those things. Rambo, Commando, Predator. It's all mixed together. Dutch, you know, like and you look at some of the models. I mean, you know, Carl Weathers' character is definitely one of those models, which was awesome at the time. I like those throwbacks. You know, I think.
Let me tell you something. I like Carl Weathers. I like him.
Me too. Yeah,
that's a
good
dude
actor
who has stood the test of time.
Oh yeah,
and is not afraid to not be taken seriously. His whole turn
Happy
in
Gilmore,
Arrested
his
Development.
seminal work.
Yeah.
Action
Gilmore,
Jackson.
Arrested Development, all that. Really
Action
good.
Jackson.
I like Action Jackson. I like those schlock movies. They're great, man.
And by the way, the first Rambo, First Blood, I think that still holds up.
Oh, excellent
film.
film.
It does.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like all the Rambo films really, except for the third one. The third one just kind of was late.
Was that the Afghanistan one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
the second one lost me as well. I just,
I just find the second
became,
one so
that's where
like a rah-rah fun fest.
It is, but that's where it became Sly trying to be Arnold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I liked the first one because it wasn't. That was something that you can't get from Schwarzenegger, which is good acting.
Yeah.
Well, the fourth one as well. The fourth one was tremendous for me. The one where he's in Thailand and they go and they have to rescue the missionaries.
Yeah.
I love that one. Not the the third one.
The best thing about that one is the Madus. That is it. That should have been
that is great.
That movie should have just been called M2. That's it.
No, it was so if we're going to talk about that, my favorite part of that film is when they're on the boat and they're sneaking by the pirates. And the one guy gets up in his face and he just takes him and pins him against the post and picks him up off the ground. The guy's like, oh my God, I didn't know. Oh, it's fantastic. It's like,
I didn't really like the one.
We're going back.
Was it the Last Blood or the one where his
the one where he goes over
granddaughter or niece or whoever it is?
No, it's the adopted daughter.
Okay.
Adopted daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he rolls down to Mexico, like some of the thought process behind, I'm just gonna walk in there and he gets his ass whipped and I was like, well, you just went walking into like a gang stronghold. You got no guns, you got no backup, you got no nothing. You just like some of that didn't make sense, and I was just like, okay.
Why they didn't kill him didn't make sense. I mean,
right.
They should have, when he was up on that rooftop, they would have beat him to death, put him in a barrel, and rolled him down a hill. I mean, that would have been that. So the fact that he was there helpless and they let him go, it was like, oh, we're going to prove a point, and that's their hubris is what is their downfall because they just didn't know. But there's parts of that movie I like. It's definitely weaker than the previous one, which is the one with the missionaries. Where the meme of him coming up behind the guy, getting ready to cut his head off. Like creeping up. Did you see him?
You know what we should do, Mark? You should come up with a list of movies and just read off the list. Just pick some movies that you really like or you think, take that list and we'll have to give it to Kelly. Just read to him, Kelly, this movie. What do you think? Yes, no, and see how many of them actually he does like and how many of them he hates.
I get that. I don't know. He's not here to defend himself, so I realize that. But I just get the feeling Kelly is more negative about most movie. I think it's more rare for him to be like, I enjoyed that, and leave it at that. It's always.
I find it hilarious. I find it enjoyable, listening to him do that. And this is me, how few I like. but
you guys are missing out. Sometimes you need to turn that inner critic off and just enjoy the ride.
Well, that's why I was saying I think it would be funny if you had a list because you like just about everything.
Yeah.
And
Like
he
polar
hates-
opposites.
yeah, the two ends of the rainbow, like I was saying there. And I would love to see that reaction. Here's Mark's favorites. How many of Mark's favorites does
That would be
Kelly
good, yeah.
actually disapprove of? I would
Yeah.
like to see that. Yeah.
How many get
For
to
two
like, have a
reasons.
thumbs up, thumbs down scale? He just goes,
Right. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
thumb up,
Just to see two
thumb
things
down.
there.
Camera,
Mark's
where are you?
list
There
of
you go.
favorites first, so that we can, know what that list is, and
Yeah.
then see Kelly's approval, disapproval of that list.
It's 2 K-mans up or 2 K-mans down. Yeah, that's a good
So-
idea, actually. We should do that.
Okay.
So, if you have an inkling, Mark, that would be cool.
Okay. Well, now I kind of do. I'm like, okay, what's my top 20?
I'd be
The
interested.
top
to
10
see
is
that.
very limiting. I think a top 20, it's like that captures the gambit of here's my top 20 kind of
That's
favorite
See,
movies.
definitely
I
a whole
think-
hour's
I-
worth of content right there.
See, I think that's what you do, Mark. You go into it with the idea of what's my top 20. I guarantee you're going to come up with more
Oh yeah, yeah.
than just that. And
or
then just
limited
keep at it.
to limited to like the last 10 years or something like that,
No, what's the point of that? Big Trouble in Little China wouldn't make the cut.
All right.
I'll tell you what,
But that's
man.
universally loved.
Because
I
you
mean,
could fill up half that list with the Coen brothers just alone.
Mm.
If you think of theirs, you got Raising Arizona, you got No Country for Old Men, you got The Big Lebowski.
Hated all
you
those.
have what was the one in Fargo? You
Fargo,
have,
yeah.
what was the one about the dude from the CIA? What was the name of that one? He
Burn Before Reading or The Men
Yes,
Who Stare at
yes,
Goats.
yes,
Yeah,
Burn
yeah.
After Reading.
Burn After Reading, yeah.
Burn After Reading, just so many that they have that, I mean, just them alone, I think you could fill up, a list. So it'd be interesting to see what yours is. And by the way, what a varied amount of skill they have to make,
Yeah.
Raising Arizona and then No Country for Old Men. You
Yep.
talk about
Yeah.
two very different movies,
Yep.
Um,
Both
Yeah, I think half the list would be Michael Bay movies. So
Michael Bay and Megan Fox. Yes.
yeah, and 5 of them would be Avatar movies. So
Avatar. Yeah.
The Last
Any-
Airbender, the
Anyway, I'd enjoy seeing that. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, and I guess we'll see you next time.
all right, bye.
This concludes our Speak Nerd and Enter broadcast.